Secretary Ross, you have claimed repeatedly that you added the citizenship question only because the Justice Department asked you to. You testified under oath on 3 occasions. Each time you said you were responding solely to the Department of Justice's request. But now we have obtained documents showing that you were working to add the citizenship question from your very first days at the Commerce Department. Secretary Ross, our interest is getting to the truth. And then once we get to it, we're going to defend it. And my approach is to give a witness a chance to come clean, to tell the truth, and to clarify their previous testimony if necessary. That is what I did with Michael Cohen, and that is what I want to afford you the opportunity to do today. So, Mr. Secretary, let me ask you here today, in light of all of these documents that have come to light, do you wish to withdraw your previous testimony to Congress that your decision to add the citizenship question was based, and I underline solely on the request from the Department of Justice?
May I answer, sir?
Yes, of course.
My reasons for adding the citizenship question are described in detail in the March 26, 2018 decision memo. After we received the Department of Justice letter on December 12, 2017, we, namely Commerce Department, myself, and the Census Bureau, initiated a very detailed, very thorough process to consider that request. That's what we were responding to. I had been told, excuse me, that's what I would say at this stage. If you have detailed questions about the testimony, we can get into them later on.
Well, I just want to make sure we're clear, because a lot has been said in this committee about the truth, and I'm not trying to trick you up. I'm just trying to make sure that the committee is clear, because I think it's very, very important. And so I'm going to just ask you one more time, and then I'm going to leave that alone. So are you saying, again, in light of all of these documents that have come to light, you do not wish to withdraw your previous testimony? Is that what you're saying?
I testified truthfully to the best of my ability in response to what my understanding of the questions were.
Okay. And you understand that there are documents that on their face seem to contradict what you're saying. Do you understand that?
I welcome the opportunity to get into the individual documents whenever you wish, sir.
All right. Mr. Secretary, on March the 10th, 2017, just 10 days after you took office, your staffer sent you an email about, quote, your question on the census, end of quote. His email explained that undocumented immigrants are counted for apportionment purposes and not included in the census. Mr. Secretary, this was 9 months before you got any letter from the Justice Department. Isn't that right?
That is correct as to the timing. I was early on in the administration, and I wanted to understand lots of questions, answers. One of the questions was that one, and I received an answer to it.
And it is your testimony today, sir, that your interest in the citizenship question had nothing to do with counting undocumented immigrants for apportionment purposes?
No, sir, it did not. That was simply seeking information. If you look at my emails during that period, you'll find lots and lots of other questions. And if you look at the records of my conversations with members of the department, you'll find I have lots of questions to this day, seeking further information, seeking clarification, seeking details of things that I was unsure of.
All right. Speaking of seeking details, in early April 2017, you got a call from Steve Bannon about the citizenship question. That was also months before the Department of Justice sent its letter. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is it your testimony that your call with Mr. Bannon had nothing to do with efforts to pursue the citizenship question?
Steve Bannon called with a simple request, namely asking if I would take a call from Chris Kloback. And I agreed to that request as a courtesy since he was a White House staffer. And shortly thereafter, possibly the next day, I did have a conversation with Chris Kloback.
And so Mr. Bannon's you spoke to Mr. Kloback on July 14, 2017. Is that correct?
Yes, and I don't remember the date, but sometime around that
was the date.
general point in time, there was a follow-up from Chris Kloback to me.
And so, Mr. Kloback, you spoke to him on July the 14th, 2017, and Mr. Kloback emailed you and asked you to add the citizenship question. He wrote that it was needed to address and I want you to listen to me carefully. This is what Mr. Kloback wrote to you. He said he wanted it added because, and then it says, quote, problem that aliens who do not actually reside in the United States are still counted for congressional apportionment purposes, end of quote. That was also several months before any letter from the Justice Department came to you. Is that correct?
It is correct that that was before the census letter. It is also correct that I rejected the question that Chris Kloback wanted asked.
Is it your testimony that nothing in your emails or phone calls with Mr. Kloback had anything to do with your efforts to push the citizenship question?
Well, I have no control over what Chris Kloback or anyone else puts in an email sent to me.
Mr. Secretary, as we evaluate the truth, we often look to see whether testimony is corroborated by documents. And these documents on their face show that the reason you have given to us for adding the citizenship question is a pretext. In fall of 2017, your staff hand-delivered a secret memo and handwritten note about the citizenship question to John Gore at the Department of Justice. Did the secret memo or note describe the real reason you wanted to add the citizenship question?
First of all, sir, I think I'd like to correct the record.
Please do.
Don't believe there's anything in evidence that my staff delivered a message of that sort to Gore.
Well, that's why we need to see the documents so that we can get to the truth.
May I
Mr.
see
Secretary,
the
we have been
documents?
trying. No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, sir.
Did you want to say something, Mr. Secretary? Were you about to say something?
Yes. What I would like to ask, sir, is if you feel you have a document of that sort, would you oblige me to show it to me?
I promise you I'll do that. Mr. Secretary, we have been trying to get certain documents for months, and we specifically requested it in advance of this hearing. Why have you not provided the document to the committee?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question, sir.
I said, why have you not provided the document to the committee?
We have provided 8,700 documents already.
But not this document, this particular document.
I can't talk to a specific individual document, sir. I believe by agreement you said that we could provide additional documents supplementally, and I will discuss that with my staff after the hearing.
Well, when you discuss it with your staff, it's our understanding that Ms. Meyer presented it to Mr. Gore. Just for your information. Mr. Meyer. Uthemeyer, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, who?
Uthemeyer. When we had a transcribed interview with Mr. Gore, he said that Mr. Uthemeyer presented it to him. So I'm just for your information. So maybe you can, that'll be helpful in you finding it, okay?
Thank you very much, sir.
All right, we will now, my time has expired.